sorry.
So we open the floor to public speaking.
No, I'd like to see there. Annette Siegel, Mutter Street. I don't know what can be done. This is just a thing that last Wednesday between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, they were doing tree work down here, which caused one side of the road to be, it was one lane road. They were doing tree work on Holyoke Street and there was only one lane road, which meant between 8 and 9 o'clock, all the people going to work were really, really angry. All the buses that were trying to bring kids to school, and then me trying to stop the traffic that has already been late to cross the kids. I don't know if in the future there can be a way to say, do it after 9 o'clock in the morning. You know, because blocking the whole, all of Cottage was just, and Holyoke, it was a terrible day. So I just wanted to throw that out to say, yeah, I'm the crossing guard.
I know.
Yeah.
I drive by you all the time.
And it was just, I mean, I know people were just so angry driving in. And like I said, it was really, I had to go out there. And I was actually directing traffic because it was so backed up over there. But just to get the kids across the street, I just really didn't like that. So anyways, I don't know if anything can be done. I'm just throwing it out, saying, if there's a way to say, you know, when you're going to shut down the road, do it after 9 o'clock in the morning. That's all.
Thanks for that. Anyone else from the public? Okay, minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
There's no mic. I'm it. Approved. Does he not know it was at 4:30?
He does, but his,
Dad.
Mr. Chairman, do we want to go right to the mayor so that she can?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So we'll go right to this would be dealing with the street conditions. Okay. So that item 7.
I'll start. Very quickly. On March 14th, obviously the board knows I sent a memo to you. We copied the mayor and the finance director on some of our main streets. And it's not only our main streets that are in tough condition. It's all of our streets. But I picked out some of the main streets: Main Street, East Street, Holyoke, Loudville, Ferry, Clark. And I had the engineers come up with an estimate on what it would cost to repair those roads and bring them back. And it's like $6.6 million. And this year we have received a large number, more than we've ever received before, requests for reimbursements for vehicle damage because of potholes. And my crews are out there taking flack every day about, what are you doing about this? What are you doing about that? The office staff, people come in and they're really irate about the conditions of the road. So I'm looking for some help from the board and from the mayor and from the finance director as to where we go forward with this, because our roads aren't getting any better, and $6.6 million just for the main roads. We haven't even got off on the side streets. We're just talking main roads. We haven't talked sidewalks yet on some of these side streets. So that price is way more than $6.6 million. But when we're doing, we're only spending $480,000 from Chapter 90 every year. We're not doing the amount that we should be doing. With 90 miles of road, we should be doing something to our roads every 10 years. Obviously, some are maybe going to be 7 years, some are going to be 15, but on the average of 10 years. So we should be doing something to our roads, whether it's crack sealing or something like that, to 9 miles of road. Last year we did Pleasant Street and we did Torrey Street, so we're looking at about 1.5 miles. We did another half a mile of crack sealing. So instead of doing something to 9 miles of road a year, we've done something to 2 miles of road. With that, I'm open to discussion and suggestions on how we go forward at this point.
So I've had a discussion with the mayor.
I did not.
You did not. So I thought it would be best to have the mayor come.
Yes.
Have
Oh, yeah.
this discussion
Right.
with
That's
her.
why I thought you were. Yeah.
So thank you, Mayor, for
Yes.
coming.
Thank you.
willing to stay after 6 o'clock.
Hoping it doesn't go that long.
Oh, I am. I shouldn't say it, right? No. Yeah, so of course, I received a letter. Joe and I have had a couple of conversations. I've spoken with Stan a little bit, done some research. The first thing that I went through was actually a list of questions, and Joe and I went through the list of streets on this on the letter. Start with the good news. So on Ferry Parsons to East Street, Ferry Street down to the bridge towards Parson will be taken care of MassWorks. And then hop over that bridge that goes over the dam, we're not touching that, up through past Parsons. And I don't know if it goes all the way to East Street. We're focusing our next community block development grant on. We feel, after talking to PVPC, this process starts with the planning department and surveys around income and sizes of families. We do not have a lot of neighborhoods and roads that qualify for that program. We just don't have that low income, demographic. But we do feel that that one piece that addresses Parsons Street, that intersection with the road in general, we've been told by PVPC that we look like we will hit the income guidelines, and that would be actually, you're going up Ferry Street towards east, so that section of Ferry Street and right. So if you're familiar with what the block grants have done for the last 3 years, Joe, working through Admiral Street.
Yeah, the Admiral
right.
Street, Maple Street
Yeah.
area, yep.
So it's a little systematic of how that area, as far as infrastructure, is pretty poor, but also it's around income. So we feel we can get that right. There is a little bit of a hope, and I've been told not to hold my breath, that it could go all the way like to Arcadia and Fort Hill Road and Clap. I don't know how it qualifies. Stan and I talked about it really quickly. That and maybe another part that's up towards Cherry Street. I don't know how that all attaches, but it's about income zones. But it does, we feel very strong that we have a strong application for that Parsons up to East Street and then in a little bit. So that addresses some of this. That said, that would be this year's application. So we would not, I know the award comes in like February of 2020. So there are things on the horizon. And then the other, this is where it kind of gets a little more. I asked Joe if any of the other roads identified came under the stormwater management plan or the multiple municipal vulnerability project grants that are on up to $2 million starting next year. They do not, on the face of them, definitely not under the stormwater management plan at all. Municipal vulnerability grant, maybe. I'm actually going to follow up with PVPC about helping us with that grant. We've done the feasibility study. We're having a public comment session on that in the next month, and that will make us available for up to $2 million next funding cycle that focuses really on a DPW intensive project. That it overlaps with these roads, I think is very slim. Its money will go after and to see where that money comes into our budget and if it can offset or push money into roads and highway. I think we have multiple lists of priorities of where that money can go. We also talked about road inventory. I've gotten some questions. I know this board has got questions about what gets paid, why, and how are priorities made. Joe assures me we have multiple road inventories. We know what to fix, but we need the money to do that. So to spend another $25,000 on that seems money better spent. that looking at road cut fees that I found out this morning go into the general fund, Joe, right?
Correct.
And putting that, even though it's $5,000 or $6,000, do we start putting that aside into a specific account for road or painting the crosswalks or, just line painting, maybe, every penny helps. And looking at that, and finally what it comes down to when I talk to other mayors, places like Northampton just add automatically $1 million to their highway department budget, and it goes off, and there's just a cycle or rotation of how roads are fixed. And Joe this morning explained to me there's 90 miles of road, 9 miles a year is ideally what we want to do. How many miles did we do last year, Joe?
2.
So we're in level 7. How to fix that or get real creative about it is to look at revenue and quite honestly have a very public discussion with the taxpayers about what they'd like to see prioritized. There are different enterprise-like accounts that can be created for these sort of things. There are some grants that certainly we could go after. They're very competitive, but the conversation, unfortunately, I think has to start with our taxpayers. Local receipts are down overall across all departments. We'll lose more Chapter 90 money that'll be cut, and it's what we're willing to take on or to carve out of our existing revenue and put towards roads. I think that there is certainly a strong case to say this is not a 1 or 2 year issue, and maintenance has been put off a very long time, and maybe we look at creating, I look at like a stabilization account or something. Talked about Airbnb funds, which I don't think will be overflowing. Do those go to roads and highways and infrastructure? You can designate those funds every year. The cannabis money right now is really just filling the gap of what we didn't get in the budget. We lost money, even though it looks like we got 0.49% more in local aid. We actually lost money by inflation and additional assessments from regional transportation. So cannabis will fill that gap. But going forward, maybe that's something to look at. I don't anticipate the cannabis revenue being so great that it could be used for anything like filling those in the general fund, because our local receipts now pay for so much more than but that all said, I know that public safety, while it didn't really come up last night at the meeting, is looking at a couple of ordinances and also just general policies and asks that will be coming to Joe and I would like to start a conversation a little more certainly with them around fiscal recommendations together. I did not see in the last couple of weeks grants that went to road repair or road rebuilding unless there was a natural disaster. Mineral Street.
Correct.
And as far as prioritizing roads, to post onto the main website just so people have the full scope of what's going on with complete streets and the stormwater management, integrated water
Resources.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, so that, so people have that information, and not that creates one. So I talked a little bit to the finance director about what we do in shift and cut and not cut. There's a lot of road money coming in through the TIP project on Union Street and Mass Works. And we have other areas of the city that would qualify for TIP projects that would help us with the roads. It's a slow process. And Joe knows that more than I do. And Dan Murphy and Diane have been very good advocates on the Joint Transportation Committee, Pioneer Planning Commissions. transportation oversight, and that really pushes and prioritizes projects in Easthampton and those big road projects. And I was just elected to the Metropolitan Planning Organization Board with a vote, and it allows me to throw some elbows. I actually have a vote, even though I'm an alternate, because Mayor Norkowitz, who is our main voter, represents PDTA, so we have a little bit of a scrap coming up with some road money, and at the table I can kind of fight for some, or even work with, you know, other mayors or select boards to do joint projects. There's not a ton on our borders. It's not on the four-lane roads, but we see maybe a little future. Yeah, I look at this as like the beginning of conversation, and happy to ask questions or take direction, and to come back and report on what we do, what makes sense. I am, that said, the TIP project here on Union Street, I think will get pushed back this quarter.
Yes.
You know, if Dan talked about that, and it helps us a little bit, just because it will have a better set of design. But I will very likely agree, I'll agree to pushing it back a quarter on Dan's recommendation. He and Matt, our consultant, walked us through it and said this is why we're going to do this, and I agree. So that'll push it back a little bit. I don't know if it helps us with anything else. I mean, I'm really just putting the pieces together and figure it out. And we're getting a good one. Yeah, as far as the questions, and you know, I thought about after the meeting and prioritization of projects and how you know, we can get that. I don't know if there's a one pager that just walks folks through how things are prioritized. You know, Joe, you and I have talked, I think, since I came into office about getting some kind of a system or software that does that. I mean, it's $25,000 or it's $5,000, whatever the money is, it just comes out of the basic budget that is already stretched within the for repair and maintenance and rebuild. You know, I go, but maybe we just talk through some people, like, this is why this road is being repaired. You know, the Pleasant Street thing, you know, I think folks didn't really, I mean, we're all happy it happened, but I don't think they understood how it happened and why it happened. You know, it was like, great mayor, I was like, nope, I mean, that's 30 years ago. And why it takes so long to get things prioritized. It might be helpful to start just, you know, some kind of information there. And certainly my office can help organize that and get it out of how and why the neighbor's road is getting paved, and this is really has nothing to do with the parking lot.
When you're talking about having a conversation with the taxpayers, what type of conversation are you?
Money. I mean, I think it's very similar to the school conversation.
And we're looking at
Yeah.
possible override, or
You know, I don't, if it's an override, if it's a willingness on the taxpayers, and certainly the council, thank you, Councilor B, to put aside money. I know that makes our finance director go through the friggin' roof. Her ears are probably burning now. But if it's the will of the taxpayers that they want to focus on the roads, above and beyond speaking of your attorney, then I'd rather have that conversation and say, or have, you know, say, okay, now we understand. No, we don't want to do that. Or, hey, let's, you know, okay. Or let's make a small dent in it and look at, you know, a special, you know, Airbnb tax or whatnot. I would rather have a painful conversation and end up with a no and take that off the list around roads and infrastructure repair than to keep going around the mulberry bush about we don't want to fix the roads, you know, the guys at Highway are sitting on pots of gold, they don't want to do anything. enforcement and the poor guys and gals will be Kevlar. It's horrible to see them streamed out. You can drive. It's not.
Now we're thinking of a series of public meetings.
Yeah, I think
okay.
it starts with public safety. I know public safety, last night, Councilor Gomez mentioned something about like painting of crosswalks and attaching that, looking at ordinance or other policies of cities. And I think it would be a shame to see some of that legislation come through our city council and there not be funds, like an unfunded mandate. I think that would be very unsatisfying for the public. And so to start there with conversations about how we make decisions on roads and the money and how the money is shrinking. In some ways, I look at it as a proactive conversation. I don't see Chapter 90 money going up. You know, and it seems when they prioritize something, we're too small, or we're too rural, or we're this, that, and the other. We're not gateway city. I mean, I don't think we can count on the state in a way. I don't think we can attribute it even to administration. Nobody's going to make up the funding gaps that have happened systematically. It's the same here. You know, roads are in horrible condition, and we put off the maintenance. And I don't think that that's a conscious put off the maintenance. I think it's balancing the budgets, and the money that used to be available isn't as readily available. With that, we talked about fancy contraption equipment. Every once in a while, I get pictures from folks and say, you know, we can buy this, or we can get that, and we can fix our own roads. And Joe and I talked about the pros and cons of that and how expensive it is, and how these great machines are very specialized and would help us with a little part of our road, but still doesn't get us through our 9 miles a year. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a lot. I know it's a lot, but that's daunting. Yeah, so following up around road cuts, talking to PVPC about the municipal vulnerability grant money and where that could have been focused. Chapter 90 money, it's good to know this. Check on Tom's appointment where he is in the process. Chapter 90 money and where we're using it, where we might not use it, and what could be shifted on the priorities if there are anything else out there. And then going back to public safety and saying, you know, you put on your public speak, you know, on the public conversation around safety, but also just roads. So, yeah. That's certainly the conversation could happen here. I was just thinking moving it or having it here and in public safety. I was just thinking for the council. I know they're looking at it. We all get calls. That the conversation can start there and see what we can come together executive and legislative.
So in a nutshell, there is no money to help us with the streets in the city. Just
Better politician than I am, Michelle.
I like to say it as it is, but anyway. Okay, well, thank you for looking into it.
I wish we would.
And the public speak, I think, would help. Let the people know.
Mhm.
It's not that we don't want to fix them.
Yeah.
We want to. We just don't have the funds. So I think the public speak will help.
And we either have to accept that or we have to come up with the funds. And
Yeah.
the state is not going to bail us out. We're the ones that are going to have to come up with this money.
Right. Somehow.
Mr. Chairman, I will add that over the next few years, there will be added pressure to using Chapter 90 funds on the Union Street project, right-of-way issues. There could be right-of-way issues on the roundabout at Park Street and Ferry Street, even the Lyman Street intersection.
We have so many background things going on.
That's
that
right.
We know we're gonna.
That's right, and there is no other city funds. That is the only place where we can take funds from to keep those projects moving. So that puts more pressure on the fact that we're not getting as much black down on the road as we'd like to.
And I think that there's a collateral issue there too. And again, Joe and I talked about it this morning. I mean, the department, especially on, we think about, right, paving and getting, stuff onto the road or painting lines, but the technical expertise, the city engineers, highway, taking a look at materials and what makes the most sense and temperature, the department is really stretched to the max. I mean, it's very exciting when we get millions of dollars in grant money, and I don't know if folks realize really those big flashy grant awards like MassWorks are really DPW projects. That's what it comes down to. It's your city engineer. Certainly planning has a part of it and supports it, but when you're talking about roads and pipes and water and sewer and wastewater, I mean it shifts to the engineers pretty fast. And to look for, one of the reasons, looking at PUPC for MVP, sure, we're leaving money on the table. I think it would be a very interesting conversation that Joe and I have. What is the capacity of the city engineers to really lead, I mean, certainly participate, but lead that kind of project? Because it's a very real, I think we're at that point now, looking at resources in that department, but that's not going to go away. And we'll have to be careful. And I think it's one of the reasons why it convinced me to not really push back on putting this TIP project back another quarter. It's a little bit of breath. We still have between 22 and 24, the amount of construction in the city is significant. I mean, probably since the building of the mill, there hasn't been. Think of Park Street, New School, Union Street, Ferry Street, that whole tying up Pleasant and Lovefield, complete streets, we'll get a little more than that. Community block development build out, and that's a lot. So,
Can I ask a question?
I defer to the chair.
Yes.
Somebody told me that you could use CPA funds. Is that true? You can what? I don't know. This is what I've just been told.
No.
Okay. That's what I I figured CPA.
Okay.
No, you can't. That's why I asked. I wanted to because I have no idea. And I figured if it could be done, it probably would have been done. And this person, I saw it on Facebook. That's why I wanted to.
Go to the CPA meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And ask them.
Last night, I mean, Joe didn't discriminate at all about where the money came from, as long as it came to him. He's extremely willing.
We didn't care.
Can we go for a GoFundMe? Can we go to a GoFundMe?
That's a good idea.
Sponsor a pothole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, in the CDA, that's a whole other, that's a fight to make sure that the management teams. I will report back.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
We'll get ready for this.
For the 6 o'clock meeting.
See you all there, or see you there.
City Hall. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else on that? Okay.
Moving back to the packet. The first item on the agenda is just a letter from the Department of Environmental Protection telling us that our wellhead protection status is up to par on all our wells. This is called a Zone 2 around the well, and they're telling us that we've done a great job in making sure that our water has been protected. But he was supposed to be here, but okay, yeah, the water shut-off bill for 113 to 15 Pine Street. In our regulations, we state that if we have to go shut the water off for any reason, it generates a bill of $50. He had a fire there. He says, well, I didn't get a bill from the police, I didn't get a bill from the fire department, but I got a bill from the water department. Well, I said, I can't abate that bill because it's in the regulations. So I said, you need to go to the board to get, your appeal is through the board. But my recommendation to the board is, it's in the regulations. So if you start circumventing the regulations for one person, then you're gonna have to start circumventing regulations for everybody. So that would require action in the board. And my recommendation is leave the regulations as they stand.
An assumption that that's a regulation due to the water that's used to put the fire out, that kind of thing? or-
It's more of a regulation as to the fact that it's an enterprise fund and an individual has to go out and if, most likely it's.
Spend the money to send
spend the
someone
money to
there
go
to
out
shut
there
it
to
off.
shut it off.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's, you know,
Gotcha.
that's what it is.
Gotcha. And the money we spend for the water.
Yeah, we don't charge you for the water, but.
I know, I'm just sorry.
And he's not here, he was supposed to be here?
He was supposed to be here, but my recommendation to the board is that you take a vote and then we will send him a letter saying what the board voted on, what we wanted to do.
So that would be a motion to what? Not charge them?
Deny.
No, I don't agree. So a motion to charge them.
Right.
That's my motion.
Right.
Second.
Complete streets.
Or cottage.
Cottage Street. We opened bids for the work for the Complete Streets crosswalks on Cottage Street. Now, we got $217,000 to do this work. We do Cottage Street, and then there's one on Main Street at Glendale. We got $217,000. The bid came in at $238,000. Already, we're putting pressure on Chapter 90 because we have to make that up.
Right.
That way, that I just talked about.
Yeah.
The rest of the work on Cottage Street, once we chop up Cottage Street to do the crosswalks, we might as well do the rest of the street because that road isn't in good shape. So we're gonna have new crosswalks. We might as well do the rest of the street. That's gonna be about $340,000 on top of the 217. We only get 488. Well, we don't have a lot of money to go anywhere else. Maybe we can do some crack sealing in the fall time, but that's where we're going to be using our Chapter 90 this year. So something like Main Street is out of the question. Anything on East Street is out of the question. So again, that's what we just talked about is we just don't have funds to do what we really want to do.
Right.
No, 217, that's coming from the grant.
That's coming from the Complete Streets grant, yes. Yep.
In Glendale and Maine, is that going to be raised?
No, that won't be raised. What will be there is flashing beacons and ample high-vis signs so that people are approaching, they see the signs. But if somebody's crossing, they push the button and those rapid flashing beacons flash, just like we're gonna have here. Here, there's supposed to be some, for lack of a better term, bump outs that come out from the existing sidewalk where the person can walk out and be on the edge of the car. So that person has better visibility of the vehicles and the vehicles have better visibility of the person standing there, in addition to the rapid flashing beacons.
So both of the,
Yes.
my crosswalk?
Yes. Yes, your crosswalk.
The next item on the agenda is just, I believe this has already gone to the mayor and it's going to the city council in regards to that administrative code.
Sort of.
Sort of.
I'm not really sure what's happening with it. It went back and forth, and there's a question of whether or not it's supposed to be administrative code or whether or not it's supposed to be ordinance. Because the charter specifically says ordinance. Miller wants to change it with the administrative code. So we have basically sent it on to City Council. And
We did that last meeting.
yeah, we voted to send it up to
Right.
be an ordinance, and I've talked to Council President McCoy and said, how do we handle this? And he's bringing it forward to whichever committee. And basically, we've done what we need to do.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything that we can do.
Try.
Yeah, so whichever way, whether it's through administrative code or it's ordinance, is going to be taken care of.
And that's all I have, other than this is your last meeting.
My last meeting. Yes, I'm moving on to the licensing board, and this meeting has takes up a lot more time than I have right now. And Tom, I'm sorry, I forget your last name. Malsbury. He is going to be joining us as the new member of the board. Hopefully, he's going to be in place by the next meeting.
The mayor's checking on the status. She forwarded my name and application a week or so ago.
Okay.
The lawyer is in the process of this.
And I would suggest that she does, if that's the case, that she just does an emergency appointment until that goes through, because we may run into a case where there's no quorum.
Right.
Probably be at least 2 people here to have report.
Like Mike's father.
Yeah, but it's been a pleasure serving here.
We will miss you,
Aye.
Stan.
I'll have an eye on you.
Motion to adjourn.
So, yes.
Thank you all
Very much.
Thank you.